In the fall of 1982, a hidden killer came home. It began with a simple headache remedy.
In the fall of 1982, 7 ordinary people in the Chicago area died after taking a product found in millions of American homes. There was no warning, no obvious connection between the victims, and no clear motive. The killer was never identified. More than 4 decades later, the Tylenol murders remain one of America's most disturbing unsolved cases. The story began on September 29, 1982. In the Chicago suburbs, 12-year-old Mary Kellerman became sick and died after taking an extra-strength Tylenol capsule. At first, there was no reason to believe her death was connected to anything unusual, but within hours, more people began dying. Adam Janus, a 27-year-old postal worker, died after taking Tylenol for what he believed was a minor illness. As his family gathered to mourn, another tragedy struck. His brother, Stanley Janus, and Stanley's wife, Teresa, also took capsules from the same bottle. Both later died. The deaths were no longer looking like a coincidence. Investigators soon discovered that the victims had something in common. Each had taken extra-strength Tylenol shortly before becoming seriously ill. Laboratory testing revealed a horrifying explanation. Some capsules had been deliberately contaminated with potassium cyanide. The victims were Mary Kellerman, Adam Janus, Stanley Janus, Teresa Janus, Mary M.C. Farland, Paula Prince, and Mary Reiner. They came from different backgrounds and had no known connection to one another. Their only link was a common medicine. Police faced a terrifying question. How had cyanide gotten inside bottles of Tylenol? The evidence suggested that the poisonings had not happened at the manufacturing plant. Investigators believe someone had removed bottles from store shelves, opened them, placed cyanide inside certain capsules, and then returned the bottles to stores. That meant the killer could have acted almost anywhere. As fear spread across Chicago, authorities issued urgent warnings. The manufacturer of Tylenol, Johnson & Johnson, took extraordinary action. The company halted advertising and recalled millions of bottles of Tylenol from across the United States. It was one of the largest product recalls in American history at the time. The case quickly became a massive criminal investigation involving local police, federal authorities, and the FBI. Investigators collected bottles from stores and homes, searching for clues that could identify the person responsible. But the evidence was frustratingly limited. There were no clear eyewitnesses who saw someone contaminating the bottles. No reliable fingerprint or forensic evidence led directly to a suspect. And because the bottles could have been tampered with after leaving the manufacturer, investigators had to consider a wide range of locations and possible suspects. One of the most closely examined figures was a man named James William Lewis. Lewis had a complicated criminal history and became connected to the case after he sent a letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding $1 million to stop the cyanide killings. The letter instructed the company on how money should be delivered. The message immediately drew the attention of investigators. Lewis was eventually arrested, but the case against him had a major limitation. Authorities could prove that he had attempted to extort money from Johnson & Johnson, but they could not prove that he had actually poisoned the Tylenol capsules. In 1983, Lewis was convicted of extortion and sentenced to prison. However, he was never charged with the 7 murders. Over the years, investigators continued to examine him as a possible suspect. Lewis consistently denied being the Tylenol killer. His connection to the extortion letter made him one of the most famous names associated with the case, but the murders themselves remained officially unsolved. The investigation also changed the way the entire pharmaceutical industry operated. Before 1982, many over-the-counter medicines had little or no protection against tampering after they reached store shelves. After the Tylenol murders, tamper-resistant packaging became standard. Sealed bottles, protective foil, plastic neckbands, and other safety measures were introduced to make contamination more difficult. New laws also made product tampering a serious federal crime. In an unexpected way, the tragedy transformed consumer safety around the world. But for the families of the 7 victims, those changes could never replace the people they lost. Decades passed, investigators retired, and new leads occasionally appeared, but no one was ever convicted of the murders. The case remained open for years, with evidence periodically re-examined as forensic technology improved. Yet the central mystery survived. Who purchased or obtained the bottles, opened them, poisoned the capsules, and placed them back where unsuspecting people would buy them? The Tylenol murders were not only a criminal case, they changed the relationship between the public and everyday products. Something as ordinary as a bottle of medicine suddenly became a symbol of vulnerability. And perhaps the most unsettling part is that the person responsible was never definitively identified. 7 people lost their lives. Millions were frightened. An entire industry changed. But the killer may have walked away without ever facing justice. So what do you think? Was James William Lewis truly connected to the murders, or was the real killer someone investigators never found? Share your opinion in the comments.